Hello viewers, welcome to Inky Culture channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make an orchid dress. This is a baby dress and it's a kind of ruffled dress. So all you need is 6 yards of tulle or veil net, and you also need the skirt part. The skirt part will be the skirt part is what I'm touching right now. You're going to double the waist measurement on the skirt part, double the waist measurement. That is, if the waist circumference is 20, you need 40 inches circumference. So having done that, the next thing to do is to cut your tulle into pieces. Then the width of the tulle that I need for this tutorial is 3 inches width. So the length can be as long as you can get it. So you're going to mark 3 inches width like so. So I'm going to cut the strap, the 3 inches length, 3 inches width length of tulle. So I'm going to cut it into pieces and I'm going to gather it together. So I'll gather it on the skirt part of the dress. So the next thing to do, since I have marked it out, I'm going to cut it. So what I cut out, I will use the ones I cut out as a sample to cut others. So I'll cut as much as I can get from this, from the V-neck that I folded. So I'm going to use one out of it as a template to cut as much as I can get from the yards I folded. So I'll go ahead and cut it in straps like so. I'll cut as much as I can get from this. I'll cut it 3 inches width. Then what I cut out will be gathered on the skirt. So right now I have cut out a large number of tulle now. So I'll go ahead now and gather all this tulle that I've cut out. I'm going to gather it, and then after gathering it, I'll place it on the skirt part. I'll stitch it on the skirt part. So right now we are on the machine. The next thing to do now is to gather the tulle. So I'm going to, there are two methods you can use to gather it. The first method I'm using is that I'm going to run a straight stitch. A straight loose stitch will be run on it by 1/2 inch. Then after I run the stitch, the next thing to do is to pull. You know, there are two threads that are locking together to make sure the stitch is locked. So I'm going to take one of the thread and pull it to gather the tulle. So I'll first of all run the straight stitch right now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to run the straight stitch. So after running the straight stitch, I'll pull one of the thread to gather it. So I have a video on my channel that explains this, and I also have a video if you don't know how to cut a baby pattern, basic block. If you don't know how to make a basic block for a baby, you can, the link will be put in the description box so that you'll be able to watch the video. So I'm going to attach the link to this video, because I will not be showing you how I make the upper part of this dress. I will only be showing you the skirt part, but I have a video on my channel that explains that. So the next thing I'm doing now is I'm trying to gather the tulle. I'm trying to gather the tulle by pulling one of the thread and then gathering it. So I'll make sure I gather it. So after gathering it, I'll go ahead and bring the skirt part, then stitch what I have gathered, the tulle that I've gathered. I'm going to stitch it on the skirt part, and as you can see, that is what I'm doing right now. I'm placing it on the skirt part. So placing it on the skirt part, I make sure that it's has the same length with the skirt, that is not, it's on the same length with the hemline of the skirt part. So before I continue to stitch it, I'll make sure that it's the hemline of the first one I will do will align with the hemline of the skirt. So then I will run a straight stitch on it to hold it down. So this is the other method. The other method is if your machine has the capability of doing a gather stitch, it will be very easy for you, and that is what I want to do right now. I'll set the machine to make a gather stitch, and you can see it's quite very easy. So after you have gathered it in large quantity, you can just go ahead and just stitch it on the skirt part, and that is what I'm doing. I'm trying to gather the two. By the time I gathered everything, I'll just go on the skirt, then attach it on the skirt in layers. So as you can see, this is quite easy. So after I've gathered everything, the next thing to do is to go on to attach it to the skirt part. So I'm going to have attached some. So the distance of one tool to the other is 1 inch. So I will mark 1 inch. The former tool that I attached, I'll place my tape measure and measure 1 inch. So they are 1 inch apart. So I'm going to place the next one and attach it like so. So I'm using a normal straight stitch to attach now. This is not a gather stitch I'm using to attach. So I'll just stitch it like so. I'll stitch it to it, and the process is just the same. I'll stitch it all through. So right now the next thing is I'm going to place another tool that I've gathered, then attach it to it. So I'm stitching it. I told you that the distance of one strap of tool to the other is 1 inch, and I'm trying to mark 1 inch so as to follow it through. So the process is just like a repetition till I finish attaching all the tool on the skirt part. So I'll continue like that till I finish attaching all the two. So I'm done with attaching the two. So the next thing to do is this is the upper bodice, and I have attached two to the upper bodice also. You can see the way I attached the two to be able to finish up the waistline. So the next thing to do is to fold the upper bodice into two and mark it, so that I'll be able to note the center front, the side, and also the center back. So I'm trying to use chalk to mark all these points. The zipper allowance has been marked, the side has been marked, and the center front has been marked. So as I marked the upper bodice, I'm going to mark the skirt also like that. So the way I marked the upper bodice is that I folded into two and I folded into four and I marked. So I'm going to fold the skirt also into two. I will mark it so that will serve as the center front. I will mark with chalk. Then I'll fold into four and also mark it. You can notch, but I just don't want to notch it. That's why I'm marking it. I can still follow the chalk. And then I'll fold into two now. Then I'll fold into four. I'll fold into four now and also mark it, leaving the zipper allowance. You can see I left the zipper allowance. So the zipper allowance of 1 inch is used in this tutorial. So I'm going to mark it. When I folded into four, I'll mark it on the two, and I'll mark the center also. I'll mark the zipper, and since what I marked on the skirt is also marked on the upper bodice, I just want the chalk to be visible now. So having done that, since the chalk is visible now, I will match the points to each other. I will mark the points on the skirt to the points on the upper bodice. So I'm going to match it with each other and use my safety pin to pin it down. So at each point that I marked, I'm going to use my safety pin to pin it down at each point. So that is what I'm doing right away. So I'm going to pin it down at each point that I marked. So pin it down at each point. And this is the last that I'm going to pin down. So having pinned it down, the next thing to do is to go straight away to my machine and stitch it. So you can see that we have enough allowance to work with on the skirt. So I'm going to use small pleat to pleat it on the upper bodice. So I'll use small pleat to pleat it on the upper bodice, like so. So I'll go on my machine now and do that. So right now I'm here to attach the skirt to the upper bodice, and like I told you, I will be using a small pleat. So I'll just make sure it is accurate and equal, and that's why I pin it down, so that I'll be able to do something that is equal. So I'll remove the first pin and stitch by 1/2 inch. Then I'll be careful that the tool is well arranged and aligned before I start my stitch. I'm trying to do small pleats as I'm stitching it. So I'll follow the same process till I finish stitching the skirt part on the upper bodice. So I'll follow the same process. It's not something difficult. So I'll follow the same process and attach the skirt to the upper bodice, like so. So I'm doing the pleat. You can see the way I'm pleating it small, gradually, and the pleat is not that much, because I only double the waist circumference. So as you can see, this is the result. This is the inside. If you don't know how to put your lining, I have a video on my channel that explains that. So I'm going to put the link in the description box, so for you to understand how I place the lining. This is the inside, the wrong side of the clothes. I put a net, the hard net, to be able to boost it a little. So our dress is ready. and this is the right side. This is the right side of the orchid dress. You can see it really came out nice and it's really lovely. So if you like our video, please don't hesitate to subscribe, like and share my videos. And my online classes and offline classes are still on. If you are interested, you can contact the number on the screen, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye.